there, welcome back to HFA's mental health video series. My name is Lauren Black and I'm a licensed social worker and the Associate Director of Services here at HFA. Today's topic is on self-care, and this is a pretty buzzy word, and I'm sure you've probably heard about self-care. And when you think about it, you might have images that come to mind of like eating chocolate bars and taking long, luxurious bubble baths. And while that might work for some and is a great way to practice self-care, it's not going to work for everybody, and it also only, speaks to one component of self-care. So today I'm going to highlight the different types of self-care. So we have physical self-care, emotional self-care, spiritual self-care, our relationship self-care, and then workplace and professional self-care. So we're going to talk about what each of these are, and then I'll also give you some examples of how you can incorporate those into your self-care routine. So first off, let's talk about physical self-care. So again, this kind of speaks to what I was talking to earlier with the bubble baths. So these are things that you do to take care of yourself physically and attend to your physical health. So this could include, eating regular, mostly nutritious meals with, of course, taking time for treats and things like that, things that bring you joy. Also could include something like exercise, getting a regular routine, medical exams, could include resting and getting adequate sleep each night, and then also those fun treats like getting massages or manicures or any of those types of things. So next we have emotional self-care, and this type of self-care speaks to your mental health. So it could include activities for self-reflection. So taking time to kind of assess your thoughts and your feelings, and maybe sharing those like by writing in a journal that's maybe just for you, or maybe you share what you're feeling and your thoughts with a friend or a therapist. This could also seeking out activities that bring you comfort, like maybe reading or listening to music or watching movies or spending time with your loved ones. It could also include taking breaks from technology, from social media, from the news, which is super important right now during this time of COVID-19. It's also allowing yourself some self-compassion, reminding yourself that it's okay to slow down, it's okay to take breaks, it's okay to feel the full range of emotions that you're feeling right now, like sadness or anger, or anxiety, fear. And finally, self-care emotionally also speaks to putting boundaries up. And what I mean by boundaries or boundary settings are, saying no more. Maybe you need to set boundaries with people in your household right now that you need a little bit of alone time each day, even if that's just 5 or 10 minutes, right? Maybe boundary setting could also be with a friend who maybe that friend only wants to talk about coronavirus. And maybe you talk to your friend about how you're happy to talk about that, but, for only a certain amount of time in your phone conversation, and then the rest of the time has to be, about other topics or other things that are going on, right? So those are ways you can kind of practice emotional self-care. So next we have spiritual self-care, and this type of self-care attends to our soul. So examples could include spending time in nature if you're able to. This could even include, like your backyard. It doesn't have to be anything expansive. It could include meditating or prayer or reading from religious texts or inspirational books, whatever speaks to you. It could be donating to causes you believe in if you feel like that would be important to you right now, or practicing gratitude, whatever feeds your soul. So next we have relationship self-care. And again, this kind of speaks to that emotional self-care piece I was talking about earlier. But I wanted to highlight it on its own because it's so important right now, especially since so many of us are isolated, to make sure that we're taking time for our relationships. So this type of self-care includes that connection. So whether that be connecting with your family members or your children or your significant other or your friends, making sure that you're taking time for that connection as it serves you. And I know many of us can't do that right now in person. So there's so many different virtual ways that we can do this, right? That we can stay connected with each other. And this type of self-care, relationship self-care, also speaks to asking for help when you need it. So calling a friend or family member and saying, hey, I'm struggling right now and I need to talk. It could also include like, hey, I need some help with picking up groceries this week for whatever reason, right? And maybe you call a friend and say, hey, on your next trip, would you mind, picking up XYZ item for me and leaving it on my front door, and I'll pay you later, right? It's reaching out when you need help, and this goes vice versa, right? Um, we all need to look out for each other right now and engage in that connection in whatever way that we need. And as mentioned before in emotional self care, make sure you're also paying attention to boundaries here too, right? You don't have to have a marathon Zoom call with your friends every single night, right? You don't have to be everything to everyone. Engage in the type of connection that you need right now. So finally, we have professional self-care, and this speaks to the type of self-care that we engage in the workplace. I know many of us right now are working from home, and that's certainly adjustment. Or maybe you're working on the front lines, and frankly, you're filled with anxiety and fear right now, which is certainly understandable. So, what are some things that you can do to make your workplace or your professional life right now a little bit more attending to your self-care? So it could be taking breaks during the day, especially during lunch, right? Making sure that you're not just wolfing down your food while you're working, taking a little bit of time, even if it's 15 minutes, to enjoy your meal. Maybe it's checking in with your coworkers on a regular basis. And again, if you're not face to face, there are lots of different ways that we can do that virtually, right? Maybe it's making sure that you're comfortable in your workspace, trying to set up a workspace that feels inviting to you. Maybe it's reaching out to your coworkers or your supervisor when you get stuck or you're feeling overwhelmed and you need to talk it out. Um, Again, a common theme here, it's important to set yourself with boundaries as well, even in the workplace. So, setting hours for the day and trying to stick to them, especially when you work from home and it's so easy to just work all the time. Maybe trying not to check work emails after hours, those types of things. So, as you can see, there are lots of different ways that we can practice self care that involve the body, the mind, the spirit. So, I'm going to leave you all with a quote that I heard recently from Katie Reed, and it says, self care is giving the world the best of you instead of what's left of you. So I hope you found some of these self-care strategies helpful and you give them a try. And I hope everyone is staying well, both physically and mentally right now. Take care. Bye-bye.